People of the world, welcome to Send It Rising Live. Main story of the day, Meta planning retail stores and social media news, which is basically Meta's, I don't know how you describe it, which is new Facebook. They're going to be putting stores out there where they can show off some of their new handiwork. And so that's the main story of the day. We will dive into that. Pinterest also losing 10 million more active users as COVID restrictions ease and shoppers return to physical stores. So, an impact on Pinterest. Google staff squirm as remote workers face pay cuts. I've mentioned that it seems pretty unethical to me to give people pay cuts based on where they live, especially when you've already paid them for living in a certain area. I don't know. We'll dive into that. 8 SEO mistakes weakening your Google rankings in 2022. We'll talk about those. Twitter now lets you tune into spaces without an account via direct links. They're just trying to promote spaces, and I understand why. So let's start with the main story of the day, shall we? Meta, formerly Facebook, according to CNBC.com, is reportedly planning retail stores as it pushes into the metaverse. So Meta, formerly known as Facebook, is trying to get their virtual reality headsets showcased. They may do this in physical space. News of the plan comes about a week after Facebook announced its change to the name Meta, and companies like Apple have long found success in retail stores. So, will we be walking down the boulevard and be seeing Meta stores? Possibly, because at the end of the day, if people can walk up into an environment where they can go into the metaverse, well, then, there may be some huge benefits for Meta in doing that. If you've never experienced it and you can just go and for free hop into the metaverse, this might be the way through which they are able to convince the public that this is something that they're going to want to do. Maybe I'm old, but I haven't purchased an Oculus. I haven't made that leap into the future. If you have, leave a comment. I'm curious what your experience is. I see people on Twitch and TikTok that play in this space. It looks incredibly cool. I'm just a father, and so if I am completely inside of a world, I literally can't be paying attention to my children. And so I would rather have a TV screen in front of my face so that I can make sure that the kids are alive. But that's just me. But looking at Apple and what they did, you can clearly see that there is a retail option that can work. According to the article, the company sells several products that it could let customers try in person. Its Oculus Quest virtual reality headsets, which will be rebranded Meta Quest, could give people a chance to see its vision for the metaverse before they decide to buy. It'd be interesting to see what the price tag is going to be. If the price tag is reasonable, many people will buy. If it's up there, they're going to want to have that first person experience before they actually do it. And so, unsurprisingly, Facebook, well, I should say Meta, is looking for ways in to the culture. Will we be in the metaverse shortly? I don't know. I'd give it at least 3 years before we get too excited. Pinterest loses 10 million more active users as COVID restrictions ease and shoppers return to physical stores. According to social media today, we're seeing a pretty significant drop in daily active users, or rather monthly active users, declining to 444 million, down 10 million from the previous period. Not a good sign, obviously. Pinterest explains, quote, as lockdowns eased, people have embraced life outside their homes, a trend that caused a dramatic decline of our year-over-year growth rate of monthly active users in Q2 and Q3 as consumer preferences shifted away from our core at-home use cases. I still think Pinterest is a major force, and despite this small slip, I'm still very bullish on them. They are the second largest referrer of traffic to websites behind Facebook. And as they mentioned, quote, shopping engagement remains robust with the number of pinners engaging with shopping services up more than 20% quarter over quarter and up 60% year over year. So people are definitely still on Pinterest. They are launching shows on Pinterest. We're going to see this a lot in the future where you've got, how do you explain it? You've got these social media networks that have decided to basically become Netflixes. So Pinterest is going to be producing content doing live shows that you can watch live or later, just like this show. And ultimately, I think we're going to see the media company and your typical sort of like brick and mortar become the same thing. And they already have. I mean, it used to be that, you could just have a shop and the experience was the shop, but now you literally have a channel, and that channel has to be filled with content, obviously. So Pinterest seeing some declines, but again, still confident in their ability to weather this particular storm. Google staff squirm as remote workers face pay cuts. As more and more people switch to working from home, some are left counting the cost. This one from Wired.com. Millions of people are seemingly ready and willing to take a pay cut to continue working remotely. 61% of American workers, 4 in 10 Londoners, more than a quarter of office workers in the UK. Breathless media reports on the trend cite a lot of statistics, but few have found any people happily slashing their monthly household budgets. Um, as someone who has owned a digital marketing company through this entire experience, the benefits of us being work from home in the early days were incredibly high. People were very excited about it. It's lost some of its allure given the fact that a lot of people can go find another work from home opportunity. Some people actually want the office. So it's not for everyone, but it's clear to me that major corporations like Google, as they hire new people and have people move across the country, many of them have talked about pay cuts, and many of them enact said pay cuts. Do you think it's ethical? Personally, I think if you pay someone X amount, the tacit agreement is that they deserve that, right? That's the idea. And then when they move to say North Carolina, all of a sudden, they're discussing cutting the pay, and then it makes you wonder: Am I valuable? Am I worth this dollar amount? Or what really is a company paying for? And I guess what they're saying is they're paying for a standard of living. That's what they're paying for. Isn't that interesting? So the dollar amount is just reflective of the kind of life they want you to have. And if you're living in a different place, they're sort of saying, look, you still have that same kind of life in this location. But if you own a home in San Francisco, the likelihood of it increasing in value and you becoming very rich off of equity alone goes way up. And so they can't really make that argument that, hey, you're in North Carolina, we're going to give you a pay cut because of cost of living. I don't know. It puts a bad taste in my mouth. According to the article, Laura De Vicine, a former Google engineer, didn't wait to find out about what would happen in regards to pay cuts. She left Google earlier this year when she was told her pay would be cut by 25%. Quote, there was a discussion about moving our team to North Carolina, and that was originally floated as a 15% pay cut. She says at first she thought that was reasonable. Then they announced it would actually be 25. The bait and switch was very upsetting, she says. And once I was angry about it, I started questioning why there was even a 15% cut. What is it about my work that is somehow less valuable in a different location? It's an issue of fairness. There's no question about it. A lot of these people are unhappy, and I'm with them. It's the reality is that now that these large corporations realize that they can function with external workers, the benefit of working from home has a value, and they're going to be able to find folks that are willing to do that from the get go. So there's going to be a lot of turnover, and I mean, if they want to, you know, I'll put it this way: if you're an executive at Google and you're looking at your payroll and you're looking to cut that expense, you do this. You float a 25% pay cut, and all of a sudden people are quitting as opposed to you firing them. And so I can see all of the benefits that, I mean, it's heartless, don't get me wrong. But from just a bottom line perspective, I can see Google hoping that people quit so that they can go hire people for half the cost. You see what I'm saying? And they may offer a 25% pay cut to someone. That person says, this is ridiculous, I quit. And then they go hire someone for 40% of the original San Francisco based salary that they had paid initially. Let's move on to 8 SEO mistakes weakening your Google rankings in 2022 and beyond. First one is your target keyword is not in your domain or subdomain. I think that's kind of ridiculous. Your target keyword is not in your domain. I don't think having keywords in domains is that big of a deal. We've talked about this a million times. Google.com does not have the word search in it. Coke.com does not have the word soda in it. LasVegasAttorney.com, like keyword match domains are not good. And so not having your target keyword in your domain subdomain, I would not sweat for 1 second about that. You're not writing enough quality content. Well, yeah, that's huge. Zombie pages are a thing. I would not recommend writing blogs that are less than 300 or 400 words. If they're news articles and you've got a lot going on and it is only 300 words of content, then fine. But if you're looking to rank for like how to unplug a drain or some actual search term, then yeah, 800 words, 1,000 words, 1,200 words, etc. You haven't secured your website with HTTPS. That is a fact that Google is looking for the secure websites, the S at the end of the HTTP. So you definitely want to do that. You don't have an optimized image on your page. Yeah, you don't want huge files for images. You want to make sure that they are smaller, which affects the next item, which is your page load speed is too slow. There's a bunch of speed tests you can do, GT metrics, etc., to make sure that page load speed is super fast. Which leads into the next one, which is your bounce rate is too high. So if people are going to the page, it's taking too long to load, they leave. This is terrible for rankings. It's terrible for conversions. It's just terrible. So you definitely want to have fast sites. This is obvious. You have duplicate content on your page. Look, if you're copying and pasting in 2021, I don't know what to tell you. If you are working with a company and you haven't checked to see if the content is plagiarized, then I don't know what to tell you. It's easy to take a section of content, put it into a plagiarism checker, and see if the people that are quote writing your blogs for you are actually writing your blogs for you, or if they are copying large swaths of the internet. Many of the companies that produce blog content do not run their content through plagiarism checkers. They simply say, "Okay, hey writer, write me this content." That's the end of it. And then you look up, 2 years into your relationship with this person, and you realize, oh, well, it turns out that they were plagiarizing paragraphs. You know what I mean? Like they will literally copy paste a paragraph here, copy paste a paragraph there. That is a tempting thing to do if you're a blogger and you're on like their sixth blog of the day and you're just trying to grind through and copy paste. It's that simple. So gotta watch out for that. Duplicate content's no joke. Your content is not optimized for target keywords. Yeah, we get it. So it's funny to me, how it's just the same old when it comes to SEO. It's been around for long enough that we know what works and what doesn't. Finally, Twitter now lets you tune into spaces without an account via direct links. Twitter's rolling out the ability for users to share direct links to spaces. This makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I don't know if you've played around with Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces, but these are locations where you are able to meet a group of like-minded people and enjoy one another's company. It makes a lot of sense to me that Twitter is saying, you know what, we don't care if you have an account or not, just come on by. Because if you like what you're seeing, you may sign up. So, it just makes sense. So, Twitter Spaces, check it out if you haven't already. Let's recap. Meta, formerly Facebook, is reportedly planning retail stores similar to Apple for a full-on experience of some of their technologies. And Meta Quest, maybe something on your radar in the future. Into the metaverse we go. Pinterest losing 10 million more active users as COVID restrictions ease. Yeah, sure, I get it. Pinterest has done very, very well over the last couple of years for obvious reasons. And for them to lose some of that ground is only natural. Google staff squirm as remote workers face pay cuts. Sure. I think Google wins no matter what, honestly, because as we shift into this new environment, it makes a lot of sense for them to hire staff remotely and do that game. So they're just going to make it more cheddar. 8 SEO mistakes weakening your Google rankings. These were pretty obvious. We went over those recently. And Twitter now letting you tune into spaces without an account via direct links. Yeah, they want more users on the platform. Makes sense to me, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are having a wonderful experience as a human being. Why don't you reach out to me? info at senditrising.com. Any questions, comments? If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can reach out via that as well. If you want to show us a lot of love, just go to youtube.com/senditrising and hit that thumbs up button, like, and subscribe. Thank y'all. Talk to you later. Bye for now.